Hello everyone, this is Johan from polygoniq, and I'm here with Hexeek, our 3D artist, and we have decided to look at your submissions for the Hourglass challenge. And because there are a lot of them and we like them a lot, we decided to give you a little feedback in this format, which is quite a new format for us, and hopefully we will get some feedback from you, if you like this or not. So we will go through several of your submissions, actually all of them that we have found on both Discord and Instagram, and we will maybe show a little bit what we like when we decide on who's the winner, what are some parameters that we look for, and maybe give you some pointers how to improve your renders in the way that we would approach them. Of course, this is very uh, subjective. Nevertheless, I hope this will be an interesting experience for both us and you as well. So let's start with this first render by Aja Arquist. It's called Time to Play. And I would just like to start with, I really like when you name your renders. It makes for much more interesting storytelling. And I always think about like how does the name of the render relate to the image and maybe create a little story in my head. In this case, of course, Time to Play. So it's a chessboard, it's a chess game. And what I really like about this one is it gives a big impression of serenity, like this calmness. I like the choice of colors a lot. The brown and green colors are very calming colors that fits into this like relaxing environment of playing chess. You just have a little bit of time. You play the game. I really like the work with the materials here a lot. They are very high quality materials. Uh, I assume there is some botanic in the background, which I always enjoy to see. Hopefully, it's botanic. And the of course, like the centerpiece is our hourglass model with very nice lighting. I like these reflections on the side. They make for a very nice detail. The depth of field is a pretty good choice here. Maybe just one thing that I would uh, change, which would make the scene a little bit more dynamic. Of course, that may not be the intention, is to have some sand in the top. So like the game is in progress instead of the time is up. But otherwise, I actually don't have much else feedback to say on this one, except for that we really like this one and we really like the work with the lights and the materials on this one. Hexeek, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just about to say, I think you really cover like almost everything. So I can just say I pretty enjoy the warm uh, color grading and the green sand, which looks pretty like friendly to the rest of the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all. We can go to another one.
Okay.
Right, it's from Alexan99. It's a Dragon and Dungeons game night. There is some game going like on the background, which is pretty blurry, so it's like really hard to read. But yeah, the hourglass is like the centerpiece of the of this of the scene. So I think it's looking pretty good. Like there is some light reflection on the sides. The only thing I really don't like is like the snow in the inside. It's looking only like texture, or yeah, this is texture, but I feel there is something really off with this one, as you can see.
Yeah, I agree. There should be like more of a profile here, more of a plasticity instead. It looks maybe too flat for grains of sand.
Yeah, I think so. But there is really nice motion blur on the bottom, which is giving it like some amount of realism. Same with the snuggles on the glass.
Yeah, yeah. I like the detail here. Like the glass is a little bit dirty from maybe someone touching it. And here, not sure if you can see it well, but there are some particles here flying off as the sand goes down, which I think is a good dynamic aspect. Uh, what is kind of strange to me is this there's some sort of motion blur in the back. Like I can see that the blur is not it's not a Gaussian blur that would go same in all directions. but it seems more like motion blur, which gives it a more dynamic feel than I would expect, especially since the hourglass in front is static and there is not much motion blur on the actual sand. Like in general, I really like this one. Maybe I would crop it a little bit because there is a lot of empty space on the right, and even maybe put some figurine from the Dungeons Underground closer so it's more recognizable. What's the one from not Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, Demogorgon. Like if you would have some nice Demogorgon here.
Oh, there is some monster in the background. It's looking kind of blurry.
Oh, I
Is
thought
here,
that was a player.
but
Oh yeah,
I'm not
this
sure.
one.
Yeah, for me it's looking like monster. Like there is some claw or
Yeah, I think
something
so.
like
But
that.
I think it would benefit if it would be closer to the hourglass and more recognizable.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next one. So this one is by NDQJ90. It's called Museum. And what I really appreciated about this one is the use of Blender icons like the Susan and of course the donut by Andrew Price tutorial. And this scene is relatively simplistic, which I'm fine with. I like the symmetry of things and the way the perspective plays here. That's very nice. Uh, the way it fades out into the darkness, that's also good. But I would maybe expect more focus on the actual object that is supposed to be represented, which is the clock. And what I think would help here a lot would be some sort of volumetric light that would go directly on top of the clock, which would make the rest of it fade out a little more and the clock would stand out a little. Like I can see these shadows, like there are two very even sources of light, which makes for soft light from left and soft light from right. And I would think maybe one harder light with volumetrics here would help this scene a lot. Hexik, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think you really cover everything. This is like pretty simple scene. There is nothing else to comment, so I think we can go to another one.
Okay.
Right, this is Aaronrupp, End of the Time or End of Time, and uh, for me on the first stuff, this is like, or this was you, Johan. You think this was a drawer or something like that,
Yes, I
and
saw,
this
thought
is actually a building.
this was a shoe rack or some sort of closet or wardrobe. Yes.
Yeah, this should be some building. It's looking pretty weird, but the thing I can appreciate is the color grading of the skies. It's looking pretty like post-apocalyptic,
Yeah.
and yeah, the school is pretty weird, but we can say it's stylized. So maybe he do it by himself, because I don't think you can download such assets in Wonder Market or somewhere.
Yeah. I also wondered about the skull because I agree with you. It seems stylized. I was even like wondering if it's human skull or not because of that. And anyway, one thing that I would like to point out, apart from what you've said, is the texture resolution. It's quite low resolution, and here we can see all this detail. It's very high resolution texture, and it should be more even. I think, even though it's blurred, I can still tell that this texture has either different scale or worse resolution than the rest of the scene.
Yeah, and actually maybe get rid of this building, which is like kinda off, and try to give there something more like this. This building on the behind with the volumetrics sounds pretty right to me.
Yeah.
Right? We can get to another one, I think.
Okay.
It's called Submission. I think you named that, right?
Yes, I named all the
So,
not named submissions submission.
right. So, on the first look, I think this is like really hard to read, and maybe it will be better to get rid of some of these details on the side. I can try to crop them. Yeah, like this, and now it's like much more readable, I think. But yeah, this must be such a hard work to put all the assets together. And oh, I think this is actually called Memento Mori. Like there is the name,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think I saw that on our Discord, so maybe we just forgot to put in there. So yeah,
Yeah, Tempus fugit memento mori. Time flies. Remember the dead, if I remember correctly. I think I asked this on Discord. And yeah, I totally
yeah,
agree with you. This scene must have taken a lot of work to do, but it would really benefit from maybe having a little bit less with more focus, because it was there was a lot going on, and right now with this crop, it's much more like centered.
much more
Yeah.
readable. Yeah. The thing I really like about this is like there is a lot of warm light from the candles here, or maybe it's like some kind of lights, and there is like really bluish color in the background, which giving it such a contrast. But there is also some denoising artifacts and issues caused by lights. Like here is like a lot of like really hardly readable lights on the hourglass. And also it's really noisy, and maybe the black dot in here looks like a helicopter to me. I can't help myself, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. What I like is the warm colors in the front on the object and the cold colors in the background, which works nicely in this concept. And as you said, yeah, the reflections are something that should be worked on. They look very artificial.
Yeah, and maybe give it like higher sampling, because there is a lot of denoising artifacts in the background, or
Yeah. But overall,
like here.
really nice render.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. So this one is
All right.
by G-Tors 3D, which I think is your friend.
Yeah, it's my friend from Brno. He is Martin Schrimpel. And sorry, I will take this one. So this pretty much suits his style. Like really, it's like 100%. If I saw it like anywhere, I will be 100% sure it's him. So yeah, it's super suits his style. He using all the time super high contrast of colors. Like here is some really warm light, and here is some cold. And yeah, there is also some spider and nets on the background to fill the background somehow. But the thing that interests me is this. You can see this. There is some sand transforming into volumetrics
Oh,
or something like that. I really can't read it, but it looks pretty interesting to me.
yeah, I did not notice that before. What I appreciate a lot about this one is the contrast. Like the author was not afraid of using very dark tones, even like black color in some of the places, and then like clamping white in others, which I really like. Like sometimes people are scared of using two contrasting colors and using black, but I think in this case it really works out very nicely.
By the way, this looks pretty nice. There is something going on with the glass, or it's blurring to the side, as you can see, like some tornado or something like that inside.
Oh, I thought it was a web that was like wrapped around the clock from the outside,
Oh, really?
but I'm not sure. Maybe
Yeah.
you're right.
Maybe that's it.
Anyways, very nice submissions, and yeah, I like the style a lot. So let's go for next one.
Do you want to start, or I should?
Sure. So this one is by Incite. It's called Harness the Power. So what we have here is some sort of factory that generates energy from the hourglass somehow. So we can see that there's a lot of like energy uh, rolling around inside the hourglass. I like the texture of it a lot. Like there is some plasticity of noise texture, a lot of emissions. In general, like a lot of nice work with the emissions. I like the contrasting blue and yellow colors. Of course, yellow as a front color in the center, and the more bluish tones in the background. So that's something that I like a lot. Also, the volumetrics are used very well here with a nice feeling. And maybe one thing that I would expect is have more cable management from the bottom. Like I imagined, like there would be some sort of cables that would run from the hourglass as it generates the electricity. And
Oh,
I'm not
I
sure.
actually think this is like elevator and it's going downward. There is also some hermetic door, so it's going to be hermetically closed, I think.
Yeah, like it cannot escape. But I'm not really sure what is that thing on the bottom. It seems like there are a lot of reflections from it.
Oh, I think it's some kind of like water,
Yeah, it
maybe.
looks.
Yeah, there is super high reflections, so maybe it's like real water.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the case this is elevator. Otherwise, I don't know.
Otherwise, there is not much to point out, like feedback-wise. I really like this one. I even like that there is some person in the back giving an impression of something going on. Maybe what would be a really interesting idea would be a follow-up render where like now everything works out nice. You've got this functional factory. It would be interesting to see what happens if this goes wrong. Right.
Yeah, I can agree with you. Like, this is pretty cool submission, and I have nothing to say. Like, this is super amazing.
All right.
There is really nice, how it's called, um, blaze effect on all the lights caused by the volumetrics, and there is also some dirt flying or particles flying around the clocks,
Yeah.
giving it like such a nice look. Yeah, this is super cool.
Okay.
Right. And this is from Janlipina, Memento Mori. Yeah, on the first stuff, I really like this. There's a lot of things going on. There is like naked woman, which is kind of plastic, but maybe it's like super stylized and it's fine. And there is second woman. I think it's the same model, but with I don't know how you call this texture. It's marble, yeah,
Yeah,
with the
marble.
marble texture. Yeah, and she may be trying to drone her or something like that. Here is some party, and yeah, Memento Mori means life is short or something like that, right? So
Yeah, we've already seen this one in one of the previous renders. Memento Mori. Remember the dead. Yeah. So as you pointed out, I think like in general the composition of this scene is very nice and the light work is very nice. I love these outlines on the clock a lot. They make
yeah,
this asset stand out like really nicely. Like for me, the weakest aspect of this render is the woman. As you pointed out, she seems kind of plastic. I think maybe it's because of the scale, or maybe too much subsurface
mm,
scattering.
scattering, yeah, but I don't think she is the weakest part. I think she is like really fits into the rest of the scene. The rest of the scene is like super realistic, and she giving it something such recognizable. So I think it's really fine.
Okay. Uh, Also, like the water effect is very nice. I wonder how this was done. Maybe it was sculpted rather than simulated, I would guess. And yeah, she's dragging her down towards her death, and until that time, she's enjoying the party. So yeah, very nice submission. It tells a story very well, and the composition is done also very well. I think this was actually the winner of the challenge, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this is the winner.
All right, so
Or
congratulations.
I think so. Maybe the previous one was the winner. I'm not really sure.
All right, uh,
It was pretty close. So
let's move on to the next one. So, do you want to introduce this
uh,
one?
no, you should start. Like I started with the previous one,
Oh,
right?
okay. So this one is by Javier4778. It's called Magic Hourglass. And yes, apparently the hourglass is magic because it's flying in the air. There are some particles from it. They are flying in different directions, which gives me this impression of movement or some rotation, which I like a lot. There is some adventure, looks like a Lord of the Rings kind of character that has just found this magic artifact. So this is something like interesting. There's a story to it. Composition makes sense in the way that the character is from the back and it leads you like whatever he's looking at is what you should be looking at. So my biggest feedback would be the background here because it's very dark and it doesn't really fit the atmosphere. I would say I would expect much more light to be in the vegetation assets.
Yeah, actually, in my first half, I was expecting there is sunset going on, so there is like real sharp light, but maybe it's actually not true because the shadows it's not that sharp. So yeah, there is something off with color grading, I think,
Yeah.
or I would say.
Also, I've already given this feedback on Discord. I think there should have been more transparency samples because there are some artifacts from not enough transparency light bounces, and this results in the black spots where the alpha should be. So this would help a lot. And what I appreciate are the cacti that I made some time ago. So I always like to see my assets used in scenes like
Oh,
this.
this may be the second time I see your kick tile. Nobody using them.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on.
All right, this is from Lazy Hanbei, and there is it's called submission, so we can call it maybe time to invasion
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah, this is pretty crazy. There is a lot of things going on. There is a usage of traffic. There is the Douglas airplane. But yeah, I recognize it on the second time. So
Yeah, this is probably
yeah.
one of the most creative or more freestyled ones that we had.
Sorry, I'm just curious what's going on inside the glass. It's cracked, or it sounds like there is something inside which I can really recognize, but maybe it's the cracks and the reflections of the spaceships.
Yeah, yeah. I wish this would be more recognizable as well. And I'm sure maybe this part of the glass is broken, so this is what was inside the glass, like the glass was already broken by one of the spaceships or one of the explosions. But if that was the case, I would expect more sharp pieces like the shards of the glass.
Yeah.
The explosion effects are super cool. It reminds me of a Michael Bay movie, you know?
Yeah, everything exploding.
Yeah. And also, I wonder how the spaceship were done because this must have been with some hard surface tool to create these, sci-fi kind of blocks.
I think they are pretty symmetric. There is like three objects in the row, and there it's like repeated. So maybe it's like just array with cross modifier.
Yeah,
But yeah, these ships are pretty cool.
yeah. This one is hard to give any pointers to because like this author already had very specific thing in mind, and I think he or she accomplished this in the way it should have been accomplished. Like maybe if anything,
But,
I would say that I would play more with light. Like if the scene, oh sorry, if the scene would be a little more darker and we would have more lights from the actual explosions, that would maybe bring out the dynamic a little more.
uh, and by the way, one thing I catch, there is something going on with the sand in the hourglass. I think it's like in this shape or something like that. I don't know. It's looking kind of weird to me.
Yeah, it looks like it's only on the sides of it and not inside.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
All right.
All right, that was pretty cool submission. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Lazy Handby.
All right.
So Michael R. Again, submission. I really wish this one would have a name because it would help me create a better narrative of the image.
Just name it Memento Mori, like most of the
Yeah, yeah,
things.
yeah. Yeah, the time and the death are very prevalent prevalent in many of the submissions. It seems like the time is running and the death is inevitable is very common connection. Anyways, as far as this render goes, I really like the color choice. They are very like dark toned, reddish colors, which makes for a nice contrast with the white skeleton in the front. I love the roses in the back from Botanic again, and it's an interesting concept of roses are connected with love, and then you've got death. So it's like interesting comparison. And there's a lot of nice details. Like if I look at some specific place, I usually find something that catches my mind, like the pellets from the roses that are scattered everywhere. It's a nice detail. The candles with a nice material and the subsurface. Uh, yeah, the light that's coming out. Uh, it gives me some impression that this must be on some sort of tower or something, and there is light coming like from the bottom, which is interesting. And again, very nice composition wise, like you've got this circle which it guides your attention to the center, and then you've got this light that goes the opposite direction. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Right. I think the scene could be improved by using like different lighting, because there is like, in my opinion, it's like a little bit weird, and if it will be darker, it will be better maybe. Because some of the things look like real plastic, like these breaks all around.
Hmm.
Also, using the same candle all the time. Yeah, and here is something like which is a little bit off to me. Maybe it's the vine or something like that. You can see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't. There seems something off with it. I'm not sure what it is, but you're right.
Yeah, maybe the light. There is the skeleton, which is like uh, plastic, I would say, and also the textures are not the best choice in my opinion.
You
So,
mean the
but
textures on the blocks?
the textures on the skeleton
Oh.
and on the box, yeah, also like there should be some edge damage to break the plasticity.
Mm-hmm.
And but in the background they look really fine. These are the same bricks, I
Yeah.
think. In the background they are good, but here they look a little bit off.
Yeah. Also to point out, the hourglass is quite small in the render. So it's maybe hard to notice it at first, which kind of relates to what you said about the light. I think if there was some light source that would shine on the skeleton a lot, that would make everything here a little bit darker. Like the legs, maybe you don't want to focus too much on the legs because that's not the important part of the render. It's the top part, and this is you've got nice light source here. So if this would be a little bit darker and the face of the skeleton would be lit by this light, maybe even the scythe, that would be, I think, very nice.
Yeah, have some recon light on the skeleton. It will be interesting. Like I don't know how to draw, so all right. Thanks for the
Yeah,
submission.
thank you, Michael.
All right, so this is from my Mu 71. It's called Submission. And in the first stuff, I think there is only HDR on the background because it's like so blurry, etc. But then we found out that this is graveyard. It cost me a few minutes. And also, I think this marble is. I will choose different color because this is like way too blue. I think this is some kind of like ice, maybe. Yeah, it takes me a few minutes to catch the rest of the
Yeah,
scene. But yeah, this is pretty simplistic scene, but I think the composition suits it pretty well. There is also some shadows, like it's really reflective material, so yeah, the hourglass is absolutely the thing you will catch the first. But then we found there a little Easter egg. I need to zoom out, and it's here. There is on the grave. There is a text. You are the next, I think, or you are
Yeah,
next.
that's a nice Easter egg. Yeah, I think I recognize this tree from the sapling add-on. I think this is like maybe the default tree or maybe with just some different seed, but I think this is the sapling tree add-on. Hopefully I'm not mistaken. Uh, the birds here are a nice detail. Like it's good to think about even stuff in the background and not make it empty, so that's a good choice. What I think is maybe a bit of a shame that was not used more is the candles that are here in the background. It would make so much sense to put one somewhere behind the clock to let it shine on it. You know that?
Yeah, it can also shine to the grave with some like nice detail on the texture.
Yeah. But even though this render is very simple, I think it's very atmospheric. I can really like imagine the scenario of the, you know, late autumn or early winter, and you are in this gloomy graveyard, and it's all like a little bit depressing. You can hear the sound of the crows. So yeah, I really like the atmosphere of this render. What I would like to see is more, maybe like as I said, contrast with lights. Okay, so this next one is by mysticsnew. It's called Timeless. And what we see here is again an hourglass. This one is very dynamic. There's a lot going on. There's the destruction of the middle portion of the hourglass, and apparently there is some person flying out of the hourglass, and there are some probably sparks or whatever particle systems that show the movement of the person. So uh, this is nice. However, I think that this white small person is maybe dragging my attention too much, like away. Like it's telling me to look here, but there's not much else that I should see here. So I don't know. Maybe he should be closer to the clock, or he should be bigger. So like it should be either the center of the attention, or it should be less obvious that uh, it's not the center of the attention. The background is quite simple. I like the blur the bokeh effect, and there are some small assets of like rocks in the foreground. Again, I wish this one would be maybe even a little bit bigger because it gives nice perception of depth to me. You know, so you've got this foreground, the middle ground, where the asset is, and then the background. So that's a nice use. I think it could be exaggerated even more. Uh, what don't really like, to be honest, is the sun. I'm not sure if it was intended to be this stylized, but the beams look like some sort of ropes or I'm not sure fibers, and they're not very convincing for me.
No, I actually really like that. And there on the bottom there is a moon. Like I will zoom it out. Second. Yeah, there is like the wall moon with the stylized like I don't know how to call it, like crop.
Yeah, and also
And
this topic of light and day and life and death is very common again in a lot of renders. I've noticed.
by by the way, I think there is the same assets on the top and bottom part. There is the same house, but they are from different kind of view. So there is some river and the house on the background.
Oh, I haven't noticed. Too bad. Maybe if there was a little bit more light, I would have noticed because that's a really nice idea that uh, I have just now discovered thanks to you.
Yeah, maybe it's have meaning like leaving your daily rituals or like breaking the I don't know how to call that, breaking the stereotype of the life, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Right? I think this is pretty lovely one. So we can get another one.
Yeah.
All right. This is from Riti. It's called desert time. And the first thing I immediately notice is this water made in Microsoft Paint or Windows Paint.
Yeah.
This is kind of off to me.
And the sun as well.
But oh, there is sun. Oh my god, I didn't notice. But by the way, I saw it on different. I'm looking to the second monitor, and there is the sun visible, but on my like main monitor, the sun is like invisible. It's connected to rest. Like
Yeah,
okay.
it looks very stylized. It's almost like from children's book.
Yeah, but I really like the top part. There is like really nice stylization of like two camels and the fire, which is drawn probably. There's also the super cartoonish moon, and there is like super cool background connected to the rest of the scene, like connecting like
Yeah.
this somehow, and it's giving like a real nice feeling from the night. I would say. But the bottom side doesn't look like real right to me. There is the super weird assets of palms and the water in Microsoft Paint. It's really killing the scene, I would say.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I wouldn't
again,
be
there
so
is
harsh as to
like,
say kill the scene.
yeah, sorry. But there is also some artifact on the background I catch right now. But the thing I really like is these guiding lines to cut it from
Yeah,
the
the
background.
reflections, they look very nice.
Yeah, but there is some artifact with them
Mm,
on here. But it doesn't really matter. I didn't saw it before, so
yeah, it's good that it apparently this background was in the render at the time of being rendered because there are the reflections. That's a good thing. Like if it was Photoshop, this would be much less realistic and it would not play as much together. Like I think that this one would be better if there was full commitment to the stylized thing. Like I don't think we ever said that you cannot change the model in a way that it wouldn't use the same materials that are realistic. Maybe I would go like full on stylized for this one. But anyway, very nice submission. I like the idea. Again, we've got the night and day as we've seen before. And let's go to the next one.
right.
So this one is by Silver Soul, and it's user Flickering Life. Maybe this should be just Flickering Life, I think. And this one is very simple. You can actually like count the number of assets, like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I would say that they are not well brought together. It feels like 5 objects that are in the scene, and I would love if they would somehow interact with together more. You know, like if the light of the candle would play with the reflections on the glass, they would be closer together. Maybe the butterfly would be behind the glass, and the index of refraction would cause some strange bending of the shape. And again, the rose would be lit by the candle. Uh, and also, one thing is that even though the hourglass is in the center, it's not the first thing that I see. Like the first thing I see
Yeah, it's the
is
candle.
the candle, definitely.
Yeah,
And then from the candles, my eyes go here to the very white vase, you know? And once I'm done with the vase, maybe I look back here because there's some sort of light. And then I travel back to the butterfly, and eventually I finish on the hourglass. So I think it's good to think about uh, on what you want to show and make it the most contrasting thing in the scene that stands up, you know? But what I like is that again the user was not afraid of very dark tones. Like I'm not even mad that the rose is barely visible. I think that's completely fine for me. It's nice how it stands up from the shadows. That's a nice detail. Do you have anything to add?
Oh yeah, I think you cover most of the stuff, so I will just add one technical thing. It's like there is again only wrapped texture in the inside without fill, so it's looking kind of off to me.
Yeah.
Also, there is usage of really weird, maybe procedural texture, so it could be done better, I think. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So thanks for submission.
Yeah. Thank you, Silver Soul.
All right, this is from Stef, and it's called Frozen in Time. And there's a lot of things going on. So, but first thing you will catch is the hourglass covered in ice. It's pretty like taking the focus. And yeah, then there is some. I really can't read this. This look like some skull, but I'm not sure. And yeah, I think the composition is pretty cool. There is a this is probably in some like warehouse. There is a chair like weird placed, or maybe it's some class. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it looks like some storage room
But
or warehouse or abandoned house.
yeah, but there is some plant in the background, I think.
Oh yeah, so it must
So
be visited by someone who waters the plant sometimes.
yeah, and I really like how the ice is done. It's like real stylized, and
Yeah, we already had
yeah, there is a lot
discussion.
of
We already had discussion about the ice, and as I said, I'm not that convinced as you are. To me, it looks almost like something that is wrapped in plastic. Can't put my finger on it why, but it feels more plastic than ice to me.
yeah, maybe some dripping water out of the ice would be cool.
Yeah, maybe some condensation. Maybe the ice wouldn't be as see-through like you would have some places where it just doesn't let the light all the way through. Yeah, I like the book. That's a nice detail, and the way the light shines on to the main asset. As you said, like the light and your vision directly goes to the asset. That's a very nice thing. I appreciate the sheen here on the cloth right here. It's a very nice detail. The light and the shadows, they work very well. So this is also a very good submission.
Yeah, we spent a great 10 minutes in a bus from Amsterdam, uh, looking on the submission, right?
Yes, I think we discussed this
Maybe
one.
this was like third one or something like that. It was like very pretty close from the start
Yeah.
of the challenge. All right, this is from takaperry, Night and Day. So there is some volumetrics and maybe hills or mountains inside of the hourglass, but I'm really not sure. Like, yeah, it looking like mountains to me with like snow on the top, and there is the I will just Google that.
I think those are
Give me
volumetrics.
Aurora. Yeah,
Aurora. Oh.
yeah, Aurora. Like this one, like Polarní
Oh yeah,
záře
like
in Czech.
Aurora Borealis that you can see in the north.
Yeah, yeah. And there is a lot of things going on. So it's inside of some building. In our first stuff, we think this is like sculpted pillars, but it's not. It's some kind of it's some
Yeah,
cloth.
yeah, exactly. We
Like
both thought that this
yeah,
was like cut from the pillar, but then we noticed like it,
yeah,
it comes out of it, so it cannot be.
yeah. There is some water, so maybe it's like the place when you really want to be in like desert. So this is the reason why there is the water. But also there is something going off with this water. Like here is some boolean, and as you can see, this look almost like default white in Blender.
Oh yeah, maybe the
So maybe
materials
there
is
is
missing.
no, yeah. Thanks God it's not magenta, so
Yeah,
it's fine.
I think
We almost didn't catch
maybe the
it,
water is the
but
weakest aspect of this render. Too bad that there is not a reflection of the hourglass. Like maybe yeah, the camera angle doesn't allow it. So maybe repositioning the camera so we would see the reflection would be really nice.
Yeah, also removing some grass around the corners and make there a smooth transmission
Oh yeah, that's something
will be better.
we work or something we deal with sometimes as well in architectural visualizations.
Yeah.
So one more thing that I've noticed that I want to point out is how the colors are inverted. Like usually we see that the front color of the center object is the yellow tones and the blue is in the background. We've seen that multiple times. Here it's flipped, uh, and even though it's not like the standard way of doing it, I like the creativity and the idea of it, and it works as well for me. Like it's sort of like this wormhole that drags the energy and the sun out of the scene into the hourglass.
All right. This is pretty lovely. So we can get another one.
So this one is by Urie, and it's called "The Time Has Come." So I'm not sure if that's the name of the book. I cannot read it. I think it looks like Cavalier, maybe something with cable.
Yeah. And here's actually the first thing that takes my attention. It's not the hourglass, but this shadow. Or it's not shadow, it's maybe cover of the book, which is like really taking most of the attention. And maybe then you will go to the hourglass actually. But yeah,
Yeah,
the shadow is taking like too much focus, I would say.
it's true, and it's weird how it covers the book. But I would say like this is maybe the weakest aspect of it, or maybe we don't know the full story why it's there. Like I don't really know the reason. But otherwise, this vendor is also very good, and this one goes to even more extreme when it comes to light and dark tones. Like this is really, really
Super
contrasting.
dark.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
not in a bad way. I'm really fine with it.
Yeah, also there is again contrasting with the blue and or warm and cold colors like from the
Yeah,
windows to here. And the thing I catch, there is a moon's inside of the hourglass, and here is the dark side of the moon, probably.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, but maybe it's something different. Like it's there. There is some. I can zoom that. And give me a second.
yeah. I wish this was
Yeah,
more
yeah, these are
noticeable
moons.
because it took me some time to see that there is something in the hourglass. So maybe I wish this would be like maybe 20-30% bigger.
Yeah, right. This was pretty lovely one.
Yeah.
So get another submission.
So this one I think was discussed as one of the most realistic, at least I think from Adam. He wrote a note somewhere. It's by webdamian. It's called Hourglass, and this one really tells a story. Like there is someone who has just came out of the cave probably, and he's just staring in the eye of this insanely huge hourglass model that is being sculpted into the rock. So that's pretty cool. Uh, I like the way it was framed, like the idea of being inside the cave looking out. So you can really go from the dark to the light. Uh, what kind of breaks the story for me is the car here. Like this person must have gotten out of the car into the cave and then came back out, so he shouldn't be surprised by this. Or this is someone else's car, but then why would there be this buggy in the old ancient temple that I see here? And also there is another hourglass light right here. So I'm not sure why this one was dropped. But this one is really cool, and the transition into the rock is done very nicely. I like that it's not even, there are some, um, you know, uneven spaces, so it really looks like it's sculpted into the rock, and the rock materials are very nice. Uh, I, I almost expect to see, the four presidents of America in the reflection here.
Yeah, I also think there is like it's really nice that he also sculpted this hill. Like we can see it from the reflection.
Yeah, good
Super
idea
cool
that
detail.
did not forget about the reflections.
All right, so I think you really cover like almost everything. So maybe I would use like better transmission here between the sand and rock, or maybe add some vegetation to the ground. In exchange of the buggy, there could be some bash.
Yep, agreed.
Right, we can go to another one, and this is from Yasser Ahmad. Actually, this is the first user I ever met on our like company Discord, and he was asking about something a lot of times, so I really remember him. And it's like almost 2 years. I'm working for polygoniq right now, and I can really say he made like super big step forward. Everything like super different from the time I started in polygoniq and I see his first renders. So yeah, this is pretty great work. It's really nice to see your progress. And the only thing I would say about this, there is a lot of super weird particles going on. They are maybe like a little bit more above they should than they should be. It's maybe just a little bug, but overall the scene looked pretty warm. I would say this is the most warm scene today, right? And
Yeah,
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 there's also some smuggles on the glass, and maybe there is few of like denuding artifact, but it really doesn't matter that at all, I would say.
yeah. I really have to praise the work with the depth of the scene. The depth of field, like the way it transitions to the blurry things in the background, but they are still recognizable, so it gives you a sense of where you probably are. For me, this is some sort of restaurant uh, that has just closed after a party or after 5 o'clock tea or coffee. And yes, I would say the same thing. For me, like the particle system is what uh, would be the biggest improvement on the scene. Otherwise, very nice color grading. So good job, Yasir. So let's switch to the second tab.
All right, so this is from Zaki George. There is no name again, which is kind of missing for such a great piece. And right, so just get into it. It's look almost like something super Bible-like. I don't know how the cult is, how the art is called. Maybe you know. It's Michael, and I don't know.
Yeah, it almost looked like the painting on the 16th chapel by Michelangelo.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
All right. So there is the really high contrast between the bottom and top part. Maybe the guys on the top are angels because they have some wings, but there is also a lot of skeletons. So maybe this guy here is dead. I don't know. Like he's lying, right? Or he's standing. I really don't know. And there is a lot of humans crawling to the top of the mountain of human bodies. Probably there is also a lot of skeletons trying to achieve the hourglass, and also the angels trying to touch the hourglass. So maybe they want to take them to heaven or something like that. And there is also a really nice transmission of the lights. Like on the left side, there is a really warm light, which are taking your focus to the top, I would say, and in the right side there is the purplish one taking your attention to the
yeah,
bottom, the render.
yeah. I really like this one a lot. It tells a story, even though don't know what the story is. I feel like there must be a story behind this. Maybe like even entire books explaining this. As you say, it's very biblical. Uh, like my main concern with this piece is the characters. It's I think it's just one character that's instance, which of course it's fine. But some of the muscle outlines are too black. They almost seem stylized, which I'm not sure if that was the intention or not, because they to me looks a little bit like figurines. So I would tone this out a little, but it's just maybe one small thing that I would say about this render, which otherwise I really like. I like the work with the detail, and also there is like not that many things when you think about it. Like when you think about the number of assets, you've got a character that is used a lot of times. You've got the angel, and you've got the skeleton and the hourglass, and then
And
some sticks, and that's it.
also some flowers. I think these are flowers, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Or maybe it's arrows, but these are glowing for some reason.
Yeah.
So, all right. Uh, I would say these characters looks like David from Michelangelo.
Mhm.
Like these are super muscular, but there is something really off with their bottom back.
Yes.
You can see it here. I hope so. It's pretty funny, but I think they perfectly fitting the scene, so I wouldn't exchange them.
Yeah. Yeah, those are just ideas, but I feel like I don't even should give pointers on this one because this is such a well composed piece.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot. So get another one.
And this is the last one
And
that we have by Zuzah.
no, this is not the last one. There is one more slide. Oh, it's empty. Sorry.
So this one is by Zuzah, also a frequent Discord channel, if I remember correctly. It's called Out of Time, and it gives me a lot of Salvador Dali impressions, you know, with this his surrealistic paintings. When you've got this hourglass that is levitating in the air. Similarly, there are some rock blocks that are also flying in the air, which I'm not sure where are they coming from. I would think that something was broken, maybe one of the pillars, and these things are flying off, which it would make such a good way to work with light and with the scene, because here you would have the sun that would shine from all directions, because now it's blocked by the pillar. If this pillar was broken and all the pieces would be flying off, that would be super dynamic and super cool. But saying that, like the way it is done now, it's still really good, and the way the colors are made are fine. I'm not sure again about this little white man. This is the second time I see this little white man, and again, it's like dragging my attention too much from the center of the camera. I'm not sure again why should I be focusing on him? Like, what does he say in the story? You know?
Oh, maybe he trying. He is like the scale measurement, because everything here is so monumental, and if he wasn't here, we won't even catch it,
That's a good
right?
point.
So yeah, I think this is the reason to create a scene more monumental. And there is one thing going on here with the volumetric lights. They are starting somewhere in the middle of the room or somewhere
Mhm.
not exactly on the pillar. I just catch it right now.
Yeah, I didn't notice it before.
And yeah, here is some texture which is maybe procedural. It's really tiling a lot,
Mm.
I would say. And also here are some plants, but we didn't saw them because they are so dark.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, maybe it's grass or something like that. I don't know.
Mm. Also, there would be nice detail to have somewhere here, like maybe some rock or something in the foreground. Maybe it can be a little bit blurry with depth of field, or even just the surface would be more uneven. It looks like very flat. And one more thing, the hourglass, it's not as visible as I would like, because it's see-through. And if there was some rim light on the edges, it would make it stand out so much more.
Oh, I think this light is attempt to make the hourglass the focal object, but it's kind of weird, I would say. There, there is probably no reason to have this light in the inside of the glass, or maybe it's like some artifact and it's doing some magical stuff. I don't know.
All right. But otherwise, this is a very nice work. I like this one also a lot. So this concludes the video. Thank you if you watched all the way to the end. Thank you for all the submissions. We had a great time looking at them and talking about them, not just here, but we just returned from the vendor conference in Amsterdam, and your submissions helped us get through the 17-hour bus ride by talking about them, and that's what gave us the idea for this video. So thank you Hexik for being here with me and talking about the submissions. And let us know if you like this format. Let us know maybe an idea for next challenge that you would like to see. And see ya.
See ya.